Hello again, this is Bill Lindeman with Carrie Sluiter and with the Believers Business Center show. And we haven't been here for a week or two, so we have some new things that are happening. Carrie, I understand that you recently moved into a new home.
Yes,
a larger home. And that you're going to have a flea market, I believe, for the neighborhood at your facility at the Ark.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful news. That's really great. So do you want to tell us what your developments are, what we're going to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, life throws you some changes,
Sure.
and sometimes you just have to catch that ball and run with it. And with the new children in my life, I think I've mentioned a few times with the kids that I'm adopting,
yes.
and that we have we have need of a bigger home and more space for all the kids, and so yep. And we love the home. We're doing great there. Getting back to the center and what we're doing there, I have started up a flea market. It's actually a garage sale, and we're considering doing a flea market, turning it into a flea market. Right now, it's multifamily garage sale because we have so much stuff, but it actually is set up like a flea market, and we had a lot of traffic. We opened a couple of weeks ago, and people were knocking on the door. Are you going to open? When are you going to be open?
Okay.
So people found a lot of interest there, and wanted to come back. So we thought about that and considered it, prayed about it, and so that's something that we're going to be continuing for a while, see how it goes. We have so much merchandise for this that we could be open for weeks and still have tables full. So, so anyways, if people can come down on the weekends, watch for our signs, check our website to see when we're going to be open, so that's.
Well, also, with a flea market, you will have other people in the neighborhood who are interested in selling things.
Yes, doing a consignment. Yeah, that's we're putting together because we have so much space there. There is a whole, just one room we're using right now, and it's plenty big enough to do a flea market, just the one room. So we still have the rest of the building to do other things, but it brings traffic, in for other things as well. So.
Yeah, that's another example of what the neighborhood needs. It doesn't have a market,
Yeah, they really don't have anything there, and it's a perfect opportunity because if people want to donate beds or dressers or things like that, we have people right there in the neighborhood who were helping fix up homes, and people like Hope Ranch are putting in homes and fixing them up, and we've done some ourselves, so it gives us the opportunity to utilize the things that are donated or to put things in there. So.
And I also understand that you have a passion for writing and for authors, and that you have a lady that has an internet radio station, and you're going to have some kind of a workshop for authors. Is that right?
Right. Deadrian Washington she owns Magic Radio, and it's an internet radio station, and she is going to have allow me to do a talk show for authors, and we could have other authors on that as well as guests on our show. But yeah, to allow me to talk about my books, my ministry. That's what my books are about. Is about helping other people, counseling, guiding, and teaching them how to go back to the Word for their instructions and guidance in life. So that will give us an opportunity to have a half-an-hour talk show once or twice a week, where I can actually do that on a regular basis.
That's a wonderful idea.
And that will connect back to what we're doing here. It's all the same, just getting out the messages and helping people. Our authors program at the center, we don't talk a whole lot about it, but it is the heart of why I'm doing what I'm doing. My story, as we go through life, so many changes take place. And I know I've mentioned it before on the show that, when I became ill overnight, it changed my whole life. The whole course of life for me became something totally different. And I didn't choose that path. It was from God. I know God directs our paths, and I see where I was allowed to go through and experience things, so that I could help other people. And my books with the health issues and awareness of Morgellons disease, But the first book that I actually wrote was the Living the Promises book. And the reason for that wasn't that the Morgellons or the awareness book wasn't going to be written, but I didn't know I was going to write it.
Yes.
I had no desire to be an author, and my life changed,
Yes.
and the stories needed to be told to help other people. So I argued with God about writing the books. I mean,
Okay.
I had the thought, I need to write a book, and it kept coming to me and coming to me, and I never had a desire to write a book. Never thought of myself as an author, and wouldn't have wanted to. English was not my best subject in school. I didn't think anybody would want to read what I write, and so I argued about it. I just cast it down and
Sure.
cast it down when the
Sure.
thought would come to me. And all of a sudden, that one morning, about 3 months, that it had kept coming into my mind and my spirit to write a book. I'm not writing a book. I'd cast it back down. 3:15 in the morning, I opened my eyes, wide awake, and my book was on the ceiling.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like, okay, God, I guess I'm writing a book.
Yeah.
And within a year and a couple of months, my book was written and, published.
Yes.
And then the awareness, of course, I didn't mention the awareness or the Morgellons disease, the disease that caused me to find God in desperation, that
Yes.
the Living the Promises is about. That story is the spiritual side. And I said right in the book, in the first part of the book, that this is a horror story I choose to leave out.
Yes.
And that was the Morgellons disease. And the reason that I wanted to leave it out is because people would have thought I was crazy. At that time, I did not know that Morgellons had a name.
I see.
It wasn't on the news that I saw. I hadn't seen other people with the symptoms.
Yes.
So I didn't want to put that horror story
Yes.
in a religious book or a Christian
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Talking about the Bible and then talking about these freaky fibers or these freaky things coming out of my skin, people would have
Sure.
thought it was a basket case.
Sure.
So I went around that, not leaving it out of the book, because a true story, you have to tell everything, and you have to tell the truth, but you don't have to tell all it. I couldn't tell it at that time.
Yes.
Well, a couple of years later, people started calling me, Aunt Carrie, the disease you had, that stuff you had is on the news. You're not going to believe this. It's on the news. They were giving me the website to go and see it.
Okay.
That's when I knew it had a name, and that there were
Okay.
other people, victims who had it, other people that were diagnosed or had that. And when I had it, there was no name for it that I knew of. No doctors diagnosed me, but it is the same disease.
Yes.
So in the process of all that, to get back to the
Yeah.
authors program that we have now, in the process of all that, I started writing my books, and I learned another piece to my journey of how to become an author.
Yes.
From desire to write a book to actually getting a book on the shelf, there's a lot of steps. I had to learn those. I had to research. I went out and found places, not knowing where to go. There was, there's not a whole lot of places to go for a self-published book. The places that I did find, I started finding a couple of publishing companies.
Yes.
But in the process of all that, my first book, I spent about $5,500 for my book publishing. I wrote the book. I paid for that out of my pocket, and I paid the publishing company. They edited it. They did the setup on it and everything.
Yes.
But then, I was told that you own your own book. You own your book. Well, not if they put in the passwords. So then, by the time I wrote the second book, Awareness and Morgellons, I started looking for a different place to go. It was a nightmare when I wrote my first book. When I got it published, the publishing company went bankrupt. Then, so I ended up with about 70 other authors going up and
Wow.
digging through stuff on the floor, going through piles where they had just dumped their filing system on the floor, took the filing cabinets and left. And we were allowed to go in and find our belongings. So anyways, I was fortunate that my books had just come back, and I had them sitting on a shelf, but a lot of authors weren't as fortunate as I was. We
Yes.
sat in court with the bankruptcy. There was nothing that we could do to defend ourselves, our books. And what I found in the interim of that, in the end result was that company put my book on Amazon.
Okay.
And when they did, they put in the password for the purchase of that book.
Okay.
Well, then when I started looking for my book, trying to get a hold of Amazon and get a hold of these places that were selling my book to say, wait a minute, why am I not getting a residual? Because the company that was the middleman was gone. Still to this day, I have not been able to get a hold of get them to stop selling my book. I have not received one residual from a book that I sell on Amazon, or other bookstores have also picked it up. So what I found out in this, and I'm going to try to shorten it up a little bit, but you needed to know some of that history, because the nightmare of writing a book if you don't know what you're doing. I find out later on, and through the process of all this, that I'm not the only one that this is happening to. There's a lot of authors out there who are self-published who are running into a lot of the same things. Maybe not the place going bankrupt, but that they're not receiving their residual income. So they're what they have coming to them for their books, or they don't know what they're doing. How do you get your book out there without that high dollar cost?
Yes.
So as I was creating the business center, it's designed with an author's program in it that eliminates everyone else having control of your book. You have full control of your book at all times. Nobody is charging you and sending you this, $2 check when they sold your book for $30.
Yeah.
And that's with my other book. I had learned something the first time,
Yes.
got a different publishing company, but little did I know that the publishing company was just becoming the middleman to handle my book. Well, then they wanted me to pay for advertising packages and all this stuff. It takes a lot of books to get back to make $5,000. And if they're not going to promote it for you, and they just set it in a website somewhere. So my heart was to create something that would allow me to promote my books for what they are. I didn't write them to make money, but you have to make a living, and if you're promoting your books and you're helping people, the author should be able to receive a fair price or cost for their books. They put in effort, they put a lot into those books. So with that being said, the Believers Business Center has an art publishing to help the other authors. And we have a number of authors that are involved right now that are coming into the final part of their books, and so we've created something that will help them to not only write their books, publish their books, and to promote their books as well, and a place to sell them.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful, and you learned that from first-hand experience.
That's the way all of my life has been.
That's the best way to learn, too.
Yeah, firsthand.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I did this. It wasn't because I thought I could do it better than everybody else. It was because I could see where the gaps were in the system, based on what I needed at the time of my journey. What was I dealing with at the time, and what I needed that would have helped me along the way to take and build a company that was actually a bridge for those things that I hurdled. So other people will have, a safer journey through those same experiences.
Well, there are also people who have stories to tell.
Yes.
And I can see how a radio show, in a discussion group on the radio would help the book publishing. People are going to listen to it and they're going to say, well, I'd like to publish my story.
Right.
And that's a good way to contact people. And
well, a lot of people have there's stories, that they've been writing, or they're in the writing process and they don't know what to do with it. Where can I take it? And the cost started out. Self-publishing was something that people started doing the self-publishing, but then the more people that were self-publishing their books, the more it became a market for somebody to make money, to get in the middle and say, gee,
Yes.
I know how to get a book printed, so
Yeah.
I'll just become the middleman and become their publishing company, starting up a publishing company. They're not a publisher. They're a book printing and ordering company.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not a publisher. A publishing company will pay you to write your book, a
Yes.
true publishing company.
Yeah, yeah.
And for the self-published author, it just eliminates that person having to read your book and say, yes, we'll pay you for this book. Self-published is you write your book, you put it out there, that nobody's going to tell you, well, we're not going to publish this. In self-publishing.
Yes.
And something that I found also is, and I did a lot of research, when I wrote my books and got them out there, started putting them out there, because I thought too, is my book really credible? Because
Yes.
you don't know. You don't have the
Yeah.
experience, and if somebody's not paying you and saying, yeah, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to pay you for it. So what I found was I joined some book clubs at the library, and I was listening to the people talking. They had a library, a book reading group there, and they would
Yes.
take one book, and everybody would read the same book, and they would have a discussion about it. And it was amazing, the different opinions. I mean, they were like from one end of the spectrum to the opposite. One group hated it, and the next group loved it. Well, what's the difference in any book,
Yes.
self-published or not? Some are going to love it. Some are not going
Yes.
to. Some are not going to have the same
Right.
desire for it.
Right.
They're not going to be as excited about it. But it's that was one of the things that said to me, doesn't matter. One person may hate my book. Why should I send it to 10 people
Yes.
to decide until you find that one person that enjoys your book? Now, the books that they were talking about at that library were top-notch authors. And they had a group that hated it, and another group
Sure.
loved it. So it's no different than the self-publishing. Some people have a great story to tell. Some are going to appreciate one story over another. Doesn't matter. They're still good books. The majority of the self-published books I've read and seen are no different than the books that are published by a true publishing company. So, all that being said, I just wanted to remind people that our program does offer the authors a place. And I'd like to take several authors with me on my journey and
Sure.
allow us a place as authors to come together on the talk
Right,
shows. We've
right.
had 2 authors on our show now, 3 actually. 3
That's
of our
right,
authors
yeah.
have been on the show, and we've really not talked about that
Yeah.
with the show being about authors too.
Yeah.
So reminding our audience that we have authors assistance programs, and
Right.
the authors can come on the show and talk about their
Yes.
books. They can also they'll also be able to go on the radio station with Magic Radio as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and we're going to have her on as a guest in the next week or so.
Oh, that's great.
So
yeah.
she'll be joining us, and she's a great talk show host.
Yeah.
So for
Well,
her radio station.
I've read some self-published books, and they're as good as anything, some of them. People in this neighborhood have just as interesting lives and experiences as anyone else.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing what, when you look in your neighborhood, you look around and you ask around. It's amazing the experiences some of the people have had.
Yeah.
It's something that I think really could take off. The idea of a local publishing
And
group.
bookstore.
And bookstore,
having
sure.
a bookstore, a book nook in the back of the area where authors can actually come there and talk about their books right there. Be there for the day or something. I was promoting my books at the store there. The
Sure.
sale, and I had some books up front, and I actually had one lady bought 5 of my Living the Promises books for her Bible study group.
Well, that's wonderful.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can. There's a man named Francois. We've had him here, not on this show, but in the studio.
Right.
And he's from Rwanda, and he's an animal wrangler. He works with gorillas and elephants.
Yeah.
And he lives locally here. He lives in Paw. And here's a man with international experience and wild, big game, exotic animals.
Yeah, what was the movie he played on with
Gorillas in the Mist. He was the animal
Gorillas in the
wrangler
Mist,
for
yeah.
Gorillas in the Mist.
Sigourney Weaver?
I think so.
Wasn't she the
I
one that
think
was
so.
in that?
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver, I think, is what the woman that was in that movie that he played in.
Yeah.
But he was the gorilla tamer and
Sure.
guide of the animals and stuff of that.
Yeah, and it's
So-
amazing what.
Yeah, we have his book.
people-
We have one of his books.
I know
down at the
that. I
center.
know it's an excellent book.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to the new show and to the flea market. I think that can be developed very well. There isn't anything else except for the local farmers market.
Uh-huh.
There really isn't anything in.
Well, they're
Edison.
more outdoors though too.
Yeah, that's
they're
true. It is
outdoors, so they don't go year round.
That's true.
Where
It could be
we
year-round.
have heat, so we're an indoor garage sale
That's
or
right,
flea
yeah.
market type, and we can go any time that we want to be open. So we probably set a schedule as long as it keeps going so well. It just brought a lot of need from the community. One of the ladies down there, in effect, her house burned down, and she moved to another house, but she had to replace some items, that were destroyed in the fire. And she was down there, picking out curtains and stuff. So
Sure,
picking
sure.
out pictures for her walls. And so you have a little bit of everything from appliances to bed linens and, dishes, knickknacks, you name it. We have every size clothing. We did have a lot of clothing that went through the sale,
Yeah.
but we still have a whole lot more. So we invite people to come down and join us there for the next sale. And of course, we still have the business on the other side that we're doing.
Right,
but
right,
there's
yeah.
plenty of room there to just create opportunities for anyone.
Right. And I want to emphasize again that anyone in the neighborhood or in the local community in Kalamazoo who wants to make a change in their life, who wants to start a business, who wants to create something, just wants to make a change, this is the place to come. Because, you have extensive experience and have, Bible studies as well as business, entrepreneurship, and, you have a wide experience. So,
Every day you get more experience too.
Sure.
And you learn as you go. As with any business, I had a lady I mentioned to you that a lady from Oregon contacted me that found our website who has Morgellons disease and was crying to me on the phone. I called her back and she was literally crying. This woman has 3 boys and just wants her life back. So I had called her and talked to her on the phone. She was blessed that I called, and I'll be contacting her back to see how it goes. And I gave her some advice and some things that that I did. She wanted to know what I did to get my life back and turn around, and so I will follow up with her. And
those of us in the audience that are not familiar with Morgellons, what makes it especially difficult is some people don't believe it's a disease. They think it's your imagination. You're imagining it.
Delusional parasitosis
yeah.
is what they call it, and it's not necessarily that. A lot of people, there are thousands and thousands of families and people who are suffering from a disease called Morgellons disease, and it is a parasite contamination or some type of fiber that comes out of the skin. I personally believe that it was a parasite because I saw it alive in my body. I saw it come out. It was not something that I imagined. It wasn't delusional because other people put it under a microscope and described it to me. And then of course I had them tell me it was, well, personally we think it's your nerves. You know what? I didn't have a nerve problem until you started telling me you didn't believe this. That I didn't have a nerve problem before, but now I do. Because I'm a fighter.
It must have been an awful lot of pain to go through.
It was
People
horrible.
didn't believe you. say it was delusional?
Horrible, hurting. It's a deep emotion, especially when the people you know love you. You believe they love you, they respect
Sure,
you,
sure.
they know who you are. I mean, I was confident and proud and stood tall for 30 years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden got attacked, and you think people, I mean, I wouldn't have thought that they would think I could be that weak.
Sure.
You know, that I would have something like that that was not real.
Yeah.
And so it was a deliberating. You know, it was just it was a horrible thing to go through and experience. And this woman was crying. She just wanted her life back. Now, this is one of now 15 people who have contacted me
Wow,
in this
15
area
people.
or through the advertisements that actually has the disease and is looking for help. So be sure to go to our website at believersbc.com.
Right,
Look for
right.
the books, look for the stories that are behind them, or check us out for our sales. We invite the audience to come down and join us, or just whatever you're looking for. Give us a shout, or stop at our website and see what we're all about.
And also, Carrie, you are a problem solver. And, you know, everybody has problems, so, you know, I can see a lot of people who could benefit from coming to Believers Business Center and talking to you. A lot of people, because you have extensive experience in
No matter-
problem solving,
Yeah.
and you also know how to direct them to other people that know. Somebody like Mike Cyber, who has been on this show a couple times, is really remarkable.
Right.
His work with families and his reality therapy, it's really amazing.
Oh, it is. I love
And
his
it's,
programs.
it's so powerful.
classes.
And if, you know, so many people have come from broken families or want to have a family, functioning family, it's a great place to come and learn.
No
network.
matter where people are
Yeah.
in life, you know, God will come through. You
Right,
turn to
right.
Him. That's the other
Right.
side of that.
Sure.
No matter where I was in life, what I was experiencing,
Right.
what I found was when I turned to the Word, it was instant, and God would pull it right back around, you know, to 100% and above and beyond all that I could have asked or thought possible. With the move, you know, in my life right now, just, you know, going from home to home.
Sure, sure.
I didn't really want to move, and you know, and I wouldn't trade it back now that I've moved, because God, you know, at that last minute, it was time to do something and make a change. I needed more bedroom space for
Yeah,
these kids.
sure, sure.
And I've been in that home for 21 years. I loved it. But God pulled every piece together to be such a blessing. And when you act on Him, trust in Him, and He will direct your paths.
Well, I think the neighborhood is blessed to have a Bible-based organization, and that's something that's is very strong with you. And I mean, it's a wonderful asset for the community. And again, I want to emphasize that this is the place to come to. So many people are lost, and it's amazing how many people, you know, you think in this age of information that people can find answers to their problems. But it's amazing how little people understand about life's problems, and how, you know, raising children, and, you know, being ready for a job, you know, how do you present yourself when you come in for a job? All these things, you know, they have to be learned.
Right.
And this is the place to find them. So we'll be looking forward to your flea market and you know, your new radio show, and
I like
all
getting-
the things you're doing.
I like getting people right to the heart of it.
Right,
Let's resolve it and fix it and
Right.
get where you want to go. We
Right.
don't have time to keep messing around with it. Let's
Okay.
get her done.
Good. Well, thanks again, Carrie, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
See you next week.
Sure.